the president had decided to stay, all gloves would have been off. We would have been back at war with the Taliban, attacking our forces. The offensives you've seen throughout the country almost certainly would have proceeded. We would have had about 2,500 forces in country with air power. That would not have been sufficient to deal with the situation. And I would be on your show right now explaining why we were sending tens of thousands of forces back into Afghanistan to restart a war that we need to end.
Well, that's Secretary of State Antony Blinken this morning, who was defending the president's decision to pull the plug on Afghanistan, leading to the stunning chaos that we are now witnessing. Dana Perino was here, co-host of America's Newsroom and The Five, who served, of course, as press secretary for President George W. Bush, who launched the war against terror in Afghanistan in 2002. Dana, the administration seems to be trying to at least put a positive spin on this evacuation. Blinken saying it is orderly. That is his word. I mean, how do you see it as we watch it in real time?
Well, I respect the Secretary of State, and I know that he certainly means well and he's a patriotic American. But I think that the entire administration is double parked in a no good answer zone, and they put themselves in this position. They put the American people in a position of watching a national embarrassment and shame and humiliation, a defeat that could have been more orderly. I do not understand and buy the argument that they would have had to send in tens of thousands more troops. Now, they could argue that President Trump made a bad deal with the Taliban. Fine. But then you accepted it, and you implemented this. And what I'm seeing today, Sean, is a complete and total intelligence, military, policy, and diplomatic failure. And if the shoe were on the other foot, if there were Democrats, if the Republicans were in the majority now, and this was under a Trump administration, you can bet what they would be saying. The best thing that they could do right now is to own up to the fact that the buck stops where it actually stops, which is at the president's desk. And they have an emergency on their hands in order to get the Americans out and get our allies out as soon as they possibly can. All of those people that helped us, they are so far behind on visas and the rest. They made this decision months ago, and yet they've done nothing to prepare for it.
You make a point. Harry Truman said the buck stops here. But look, this is what President Biden said yesterday about former President Trump, saying, I inherited a deal cut by my predecessor, which he invited the Taliban to discuss at Camp David on the eve of 9/11 of 2019. That left the Taliban in the strongest position militarily since 2001, imposed a May 1, 2021 deadline on U.S. forces. Shortly before he left office, he drew the U.S. forces down to a bare minimum of 2,500. We're showing the wrong full screen there for a second. But basically, what do you say when the President Trump's successor is pointing the finger at him, saying, hey, he made the deal, I'm sticking with his deal, he shouldn't have done it in the first place?
Well, again, I think it looks churlish and immature, and I don't think that that is leadership. Also, I don't believe that this kind of a drawdown had to be done in this way. I don't think that the Taliban would have said, gosh, you need 8 more months. We really can't accept that. We're just going to have to run over Kabul while all of your people are there. No, that wasn't going to happen. And besides that, if President Biden really believed it, then why 2 weeks ago did he tell everyone that this was never going to happen? That the very thing that you are watching today, he said was never going to happen. So either they were delusional, or they were not listening to their intelligence people, or they wanted us to believe something else. Now, they try to assuage the concerns by saying, well, polls show that Americans wanted out of Afghanistan. That's right. They did. But did they ask the second question? Did they want to see America in this position? Did they want to see a chaotic departure? Did they want to see all of these people be slaughtered without any sort of visa process or all of the scrambling that has to be done? And watch what the subsequent polls say, Sean. Those polls are not going to be kind about this. Regardless of polls, the right thing to do is to try to get on top of this immediately right now. You know the other thing, Sean, that they said? They said that the Taliban, if they were to do what they're doing right now today, was going to be isolated in the world. Okay, well, what's happened in the last few days? China, Russia, Pakistan, and I'm sure to follow the Gulf states and Iran have all recognized the Taliban as a legitimate government. So who's actually isolated diplomatically now?
Yeah, China's, we hear, is going to recognize them. And when China recognizes the Taliban, they're in there digging up all the minerals, the gold, and everything else they can get their hands on. Dana Perino will be watching this. See you tomorrow, of course, tomorrow morning.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.